crypto trader.
These are the tools of the professional trader.
Automated trading presents many challenges to the professional trader. Navigating the myriad of confusing and sometimes conflicting options can be complete with hazards and oftentimes ultimate failure. From programming language selection, frameworks, and platforms to protocols and data feeds, the implementation is frustrating and frightening. This can lead to second-guessing and uncertainty. neuMedia Crypto Trader triggers and trigger scripts allows the professional trader to bypass the uncertainty and provides a single interface for automatic trading of cryptocurrencies across exchanges, market pairs, APIs, and protocols, with confidence, security, and unparalleled speed. In the introduction video of this series, we created a new trigger named My First Trigger. In this video, we will explore the trigger options in more detail, as well as the script editor settings, and extend the trigger script to be more functional, using the script editor and neuMedia extensions of the C# language. At the top of the trigger window are the three main trigger options. The first sets the trigger active. Only active triggers are evaluated during background trigger execution. Triggers must be successfully compiled before being set to active. The second option is a trigger priority. Standard triggers are evaluated at a minimum of once per minute. This constraint is a consequence of the data feeds used by the majority of triggers being aggregated at this minimum interval. Some triggers, however, may utilize real-time data feeds. For these triggers, set the option to high priority, which tells the trigger service to evaluate the data at a faster interval, possibly many times per second, depending on the actual trigger script execution times. The other option is the automatic trigger reset. Triggers may return any value, including nothing or null. A trigger script that is evaluated and returns true, however, will indicate that script is triggered. When this happens, notifications will be sent based on the configuration settings, and the trigger will be set to inactive. It may be that certain triggers should continue to be evaluated even if triggered. If this is a desired outcome, set the auto reset option to on. With auto reset, the trigger will still be in a trigger state when the script returns true, but the trigger will not be set to inactive and will continue to be evaluated by the trigger service. Shown below the trigger settings is information about the trigger history and execution status, including the creation date, the date the trigger was last updated, the last evaluation date, the last time the script was triggered, and the latest execution duration.
Trigger script execution times are determined by the trigger background service when evaluating scripts. These times may vary greatly depending on the trigger tokens used and wait times from exchanges for actions such as buys, sells, and coin transfers. While some scripts execute in milliseconds, others might take longer to complete. It is therefore important to observe script execution times, as shorter durations are always preferred for better performance when multiple triggers are active.
As the name implies, the trigger description is an editable explanation of what the trigger does, how it is calculated, and any other meaningful information you wish to include when viewing the trigger. This description is scrollable and can be as long as needed. It is recommended to include details in the description such as target exchanges, market pairs use, trigger evaluation theory, and even back-tested results and edit history.
The trigger name should also be as descriptive of the function of the trigger as possible, but is limited in length. The trigger name can be changed at any time, as long as the name is unique. To change the trigger name, select the trigger from the list and right-click. This will bring up the name change dialog.
At the center of the trigger window is the script editing area. This area includes the script toolbar and buttons to engage the compiler, the token calculator, save editing changes, and to display the trigger help panel. We will discuss tokens and the token calculator in a later video. This toolbar also includes the script editor settings. The script editor settings control the look and language characteristics of the trigger script. These are global settings and apply to all triggers, but may be changed at any time. There are 15 themes to choose from, with the default being dark and over 50 language options, the default being C#. Don't confuse the language highlight and editing option with the script language itself. The selection here does not change the trigger script syntax, only the way the trigger script is highlighted and displayed. The font and font size control how much of the trigger script is displayed on the page. The font size can also be changed by holding down the Control key and using the mouse wheel. Other options determine the use of line numbers and other editing control characters display. A trigger script is a self-contained program that runs within the trigger script background execution service. It is executed as a parallel task that is independent from other triggers, although triggers may share cache data and configuration settings. The default programming language is C#, and all scripts must follow the language syntax such as ending lines with a semicolon and match braces for functions. All scripts must be compiled. If the script contains syntax errors, compilation will fail, with the errors displayed in the log area at the bottom of the script editing window.
Although the neuMedia trigger scripts abstracts many of the details of creating a standalone executable, the user should be familiar with basic programming constructs such as data types, variables, loops, and function calls. More information on the C# programming language is available online from the Microsoft and many other websites.
For seasoned programmers familiar with C# and .NET, it will be comforting to know that most .NET 9.0 libraries are included and available in trigger scripts, including the system and math libraries, LINQ, and advanced collections. The neuMedia scripting provides much more flexibility than a simple .NET program execution scheduler. The neuMedia environment includes a unified Exchange API, incredibly fast caching of historical trade data across varied exchanges, highly multi-threaded and parallel execution, and above all of this, the neuMedia trigger token library. There are hundreds of trigger tokens that can be used within trigger scripts. These tokens provide a convenient method of initiating trades, performing statistical analysis on historical trade data, and other functions like logging and notifications. There are 3 ways to insert and use a token in a script. By right-clicking the mouse in the script editor, you can select from the list of tokens. Since all tokens start with a $ symbol, typing this symbol will show the same list with autocomplete. Select the token and press Enter. All tokens have different parameters which must be entered or the script will not compile. By far the easiest way to select tokens along with the required parameters is to use the token calculator. Tokens and the token calculator are the subject of the next video in this series. It is important to note, however, that tokens used in scripts should not be awaited, even though all of them are multi-threaded. The threading is handled by the execution service automatically. Token return values vary, but all will return a -1 if the token evaluation fails for any reason. Standard keyboard combinations for cut, copy, and paste are Ctrl-X, Ctrl-C, and Ctrl-V. Right-clicking the mouse also provides a menu for these actions. In addition, full trigger snippets may be saved and inserted for convenience. These should not be considered function calls, but a code library of common functions that can be reused.
If using duplicate tokens in the same script, don't reuse the token with multiple calls but assign the token return value to a variable. In this way, the token will only be evaluated one time and this will speed execution of the script. There is no data persistence between executions of the same trigger script. All variables and token calls must be re-evaluated between script executions. Avoid long-running scripts and using infinite loops. Scripts should be structured so that they complete in the shortest duration. Check token return values for errors and use try-catch blocks judiciously. Try-catch blocks are relatively expensive for performance. All external calls to exchanges should be handled by trigger tokens. Though it is possible to make these calls via client web services in trigger scripts, these .NET functions should be avoided if possible. Prefer using tokens for date-time calculations rather than the date-time functions of .NET. For consistency, UTC times are used exclusively in the neuMedia environment, and date time tokens will work correctly with UTC times and when back testing.
This concludes our video on neuMedia Crypto Trader Trigger Scripts. Be sure to watch our next video in this series, Trigger Tokens and the Token Calculator. Thank you for watching, and as always, happy trading.